Raq will do whatever it takes to retain her position now that she has the lay of the land and no competition. Whether it means bringing in old adversaries or sending trustworthy warriors. Raq drew a line in the sand in Power Book 3. Raising Kanan. Season 2 Episode 2, and it's evident that she's not going to allow anyone to take what she's built away from her. Raq has a chilly heart. We all knew it the moment she pushed her son to murder his father. But it feels like a switch has been flipped now, where business and protecting it means no one is safe. She understandably wants to weaken Unique, especially now that he's free and desperate. But bringing in Whirl demonstrates that she'll do everything to remain ahead. Whirl tried to kill Lulu several times, so the fact that he brought him into the business is a little frightening. Sure, Whirl has nothing anymore, and taking him off the streets helps distract attention away from him. But how can you ever trust him? At best, it appears to be a dangerous move because, while Unique is currently unavailable, there is no assurance that it will remain so in the future. Raq is astute enough to see that Unique will make an attempt to launch a comeback. And Whirl isn't someone you should put your complete faith in. Scrappy should have been the one in whom you put your trust. He's proven himself to Raq and crew several times and even lost an eye as a result of his struggles. But, having said that, he must realize at this point that lying does him no good. This industry is built on trust. And the moment Scrappy said that lie, I knew he was in big danger. Would the outcome have been different if he had been truthful? This Raq does not appear to be prepared to grant any form of mercy since there is simply too much to lose. Scrappy's death is unsurprising given the setup throughout the hour. But I, for one, wasn't thinking that Raq would be the one to take the shot. The picture of Lulu departing foreshadows the ultimate breakup between him and Raq. For the longest time, Lulu has had one foot out the door, but Raq isn't about to let him go. So, what's next for them? I believe Lulu can ultimately force his way out. But the more authority Raq amasses, the more difficult that will be. Speaking of Lulu, I'll give it a go, fellas. I attempted to see how the tale may be used with the studio, but I'm still not getting the vision. Zeus's arrival hasn't had any effect yet, but I'm wondering if Cartier's deal will come back to bite him. Crown often outsources a lot to Lulu because he has no other choice. But Cartier sounds like a man with power, and getting into conflicts with him might bring problems down the line. I might be projecting because I want this plot to progress, but let's just go with it. Okay, who is separating themselves from the studio storyline? Famous and Jess. It makes sense for Jess to want to move out from beneath a man who doesn't listen to her. Famous will benefit from her escape to Los Angeles, but she will suffer as a result. But he needs to figure out what he's doing with his life since he's in a mess right now. We know that Kanan ultimately meets Ghost and Tommy, and assists them in becoming the men they were. But what happened to Famous? The two are so close, and it appears that the series is making a concerted attempt to broaden Famous's horizons, which is a good thing. He's a strong supporting character, and we need to see more of Kanan outside of his family dynamics. Kanan spends much of this hour attempting to assist Famous in raising funds, and it may be one of his final peaceful days because Howard is on a mission to talk to him and tell him the truth. Raise your hand if you believe Howard lied about his memory loss. It was just too evident, especially given Howard's repeated demonstrations that he was not aggressively opposed to Raq, not in the usual sense. Whether it's out of nostalgia, respect, or something else, Howard has never truly sought to bring Raq down. And if attempted murder doesn't cause him to flip, nothing will. Howard has been adamant about speaking with Kanan and getting to know him even before the filming. And doesn't he deserve the opportunity? Raq, of course, does not want this because it creates a potential schism between her and Kanan. He will realize that his mother lied to him his whole life and tried to get him to murder his father. It's a lose-lose situation for Raq, but she'd be hard-pressed to get ahead of the inevitable rather than pretending Howard is insane. Kanan is not a moron, and he knows Raq better than anybody else. He'll be able to see through her ploy, which will just drive him further away from her. Howard appears to be motivated by a combination of curiosity and affection. He appears to see something in Kanan that his own mother is neglecting. And you have to wonder what life would be like for Kanan if Howard was a father figure rather than a glorified and adored drug kingpin during the talk with Raq. Unless Raq is willing to murder Howard herself, It looks like Howard and Kanan will meet and what their interaction will be after the truth is out. One of the most interesting aspects of this prequel is attempting to foresee how every occurrence in Kanan's early life shaped him into the Kanan who murdered his kid, narrowly avoided death countless times, and betrayed nearly every person close to him. So, if Kanan does learn that Howard is his father, how will that affect him long term? There is still a lot of good material to mine from this storyline, and it feels long overdue to take the next step. I love seeing Raq in complete control, but maybe it's time to see her back against the wall again. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to comment, subscribe and give us a like.